Recently I've been reacting to some great comedy from Canada, and I'm going to be doing a lot more soon, so keep recommending your favourite comedians, your favourite skits from any Canadian comedians, and I'll check them out soon. But today we're going to be doing something a little bit different but slightly related. This one is we're going to be looking at comedians talking about Canadians. So I thought this would be quite interesting. As we can see here, there's Norm McDonald, the absolute legend. I'll be checking out more from him soon as well, so keep recommending what you like about him. But yeah, let's just get straight into this and see what these comedians have got to say.
We are here to celebrate nominees for their wonderful work in Canadian cinema and television, which is a lot like celebrating the Northern Lights. You probably haven't seen them, but you've heard they're amazing.
The self-deprecation already from Big Norm.
You guys play enough hockey up here, you get that violent tendency out.
Oh, yeah. They make us try to play hockey. Yeah. And then based on this...
I'm a huge fan of hockey. I love it. And I love that people don't get it down in the States. I love it. I love it. Why do they let them fight? I can't see the puck. It's like music to my ears. It's like, good, yeah, get out of here. Let's just get out of here. Let me watch it in peace.
Do you remember when they lit up the puck for a few years on
Fox
TV?
News, yeah.
Did they?
That was you guys.
Do you know? No, but the NHL.
Well,
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Time out. Time out. The NHL is you guys too. So all the owners had to agree with that. And you all had to be like, we gotta like expand this thing.
We thought we'd funnel money into Canada and keep it here, but you guys took it over, like you tend to do. But
I'm not gonna apologize for that.
No, you're big on the, yeah.
I mean, that's just business, dude. You're acting like we came and knocked you on the head. You know what we're about.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, they do that
Wait a
to
second.
other countries.
Fellow white person, not native to this country. How did you guys get this up here? Did the Native Americans go, oh, well, we like these white guys. You can have all that land? Jesus Christ.
No,
I get it. Your shit smells like maple syrup up here. Is that what you're telling me? All right. Yeah. I'll go with it.
Let's talk about
Bill Burr, man, I really enjoy him, man. He's such a good guy. How is he thought of in Canada as well? Is there a big following, a big fan base for him in Canada? But who was that host, that TV show host? He seemed quite good as well. He was like willing to go toe to toe with Bill Burr, throw some jibes and things to him.
About you now, let me ask you something.
Yes,
Another
sir.
guy from Canada has come and invaded show business here in the United States.
With an acerbic
Invaded.
wit.
So many funny guys come out of Canada. What is it about Canada that produces all these comedians? What do you think it is?
I don't know, because when I'm in Canada, no one's funny.
You think it's the long, dark, cold winters? You just have to find something to laugh
we
about?
don't have dark winters. We
Well-
don't live in the Arctic Circle.
But they're long, aren't they?
They're long and cold, and they're cold.
And really cold.
Yeah, they're cold.
So when you're a kid up in
I don't
Canada...
want to put too fine a point on it, but they're cold.
I mean, if there was ever a clip to show what a lot of people tell me in the comments about Americans just being very narrow-minded when it comes to Canada, she's talking about like it being dark all day, as if what Norm said, as if Canada's at the North Pole when all the main cities or the big cities are all so close to the American border, so obviously would share the same weather and daylight and stuff like that as well. So I mean, I've recognised those hosts before, so I guess they're very popular, very famous, and they can't resist just going to those Canadian stereotypes to try and be funny. But Norm handled that so well, but you would expect that from a guy who's pretty much a comedic genius.
Let me tell you something. My parents now have been in Canada 41 years. They moved from India to Canada 41 years ago. I don't know how they picked it or whatever, but they were like, Canada. And I was like, okay, well, maybe when you get there, you'll be able to say it. So,
Saying that to his mum, but it actually sounded more like the indigenous people way of pronouncing it, like Kanata, the meaning of village, which is interesting that sounded quite similar to that original word. Tell me if that is true, or maybe I'm just not hearing it correctly.
but when my dad first moved to Canada, he didn't just want to live here, you know what I mean? He didn't want to be a guy that just lived in Canada. He wanted to become a Canadian. And he thought that there was things that you could do to become a Canadian, like you just do a couple of things and bang, overnight you're a Canadian, you know what I mean? And he used to come up with these schemes when I was a kid. I remember one time when I was a little kid, he called me, he was like, son, come here. Here's the thing with Indian parents too. They never just tell you directly to come and do something. It's just not that kind of culture. You know what I mean? Indian parents will not boss you around like that. Hey, come here, because they have salesmen built into them. You know what I mean? No matter what the situations, they feel the need to convince you to do something. You know what I mean? And sometimes they'll just take one word and make it sound like a question to make you come there. Be like, Russell, come. 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 So remember this one night, right? My dad was like, son, tonight, we will become Canadians. I said, Dad, I was already born here. I think I got it covered. Okay, but what's your plan? He goes, son, I have bought a barbecue.
Is barbecuing like a Canadian thing? I always thought it was more like the country that was like stereotypical about barbecue was Australia. Is barbecuing quite popular in Canada as well?
I go, well, what are you going to do? Cook the rest of Canada and we'll be the only ones left? No, Canadians like to eat the barbecue. I go, Dad, they don't actually eat the barbecue, but I think I know where you're going with this. I go, what's your plan? He goes, tonight, we will have a barbecue in the backyard. We will invite all the neighbors. They will come over, eat our food, and think we are Canadian. I said, Dad, if they eat our food, they're gonna know we're not Canadian. Our food will have flavor. It's funny, sometimes Canadian people, white folks get mad at that joke. Hey, hey, hey. You don't diss our boiled potatoes. Right, sometimes I put salt in that water.
That's funny because that's another thing I feel in common then with Canada. I never knew that about Canada, that maybe foreigners would have that opinion. I know definitely about UK. I always see people mention online that British people have no flavour. We eat food with no flavour. I think it's so funny because we do, but they say that even though Britain colonised India, we still couldn't use their spices properly, man, and we've got this bland food. So maybe, I don't know, is that a Canadian stereotype as well as the UK?
Are you drunk? Because all you did was ride a cooler and you're sweating.
I am. Well, it's hot it's hotter than a $2
Well, he's
pistol
got like
in here.
12 layers on.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be really cold.
Well, you're from Canada. This should be springtime for you.
No, I know I'm from Canada, but I'm still a human being. Like
Exactly, man.
I like to be evolved differently.
We never evolved differently.
I'm from the frozen north.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets colder than here
it comes. Get your finger on the panic button.
No, it gets colder than a vampire's demeanor.
Okay, that's better.
Wow. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Carrey, and how are you this evening? All righty then. I grew up in Canada. Is there anybody here from Canada? I used to get really upset when I told people where I came from down in Los Angeles because I always got the same response. Canada? Wow. Must have been cold. Now I just go along with them.
Yes, Canada. It was a frozen, hostile wasteland. And there was much work to be done. if we were to survive the elements. After boring a hole through the ice to find food, my good friend Nantuk and I would build an igloo to protect ourselves from polar bears and flying hockey pucks. Then we would drink a lot of beer. And when Nantuk was ready, he would tell me the story of the great moose who said to the little squirrel, "Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat."
Oh man, I mean, if there's one person I can actually imagine saying that to someone who like stereotype Canada is Jim Carrey. I can see he's got that unbelievable confidence in himself to just be like that, man, and quite right too. I mean, some of these clips so far it's shown that like American mentality of working or using those stereotypes and quite being a bit demeaning to Canada and Canadians. So I love to see that Canadians and Jim Carrey in this instance have that response. Jim Carrey is, for me, he's a comedy genius. So quick, I mean, I've seen clips of his stand-up when he's younger and he just seems so on the ball, so funny, so fresh at that time, and his movie career speaks for itself as well. But like, tell me what you think about Jim Carrey. How proud of him are you that he's from Canada? Is he a great representative of Canada? And that joke itself is just brilliant, man. I love to see Canadians just taking the piss out of Americans by playing up to the stereotypes.
April, I began a tour of your country. I started out in Ottawa and went all the way across Canada on a tour bus. And let me just say, people ask me, what kind of mileage do you get to a tour bus? And it's actually negative miles. We drove much of it backwards, and in parts of your country, it really doesn't matter if you do drive backwards. And if you didn't laugh at that joke, you haven't driven across your country. I told many of my Canadian friends that I was going to tour your entire country. And they said to me, "Why?"
Because it's beautiful?
And I said, "Because I want to see it." And they went, "Why?" And they were correct. I mean, from Toronto to Thunder Bay, there's nothing!
Really?
From Thunder Bay to Winnipeg, there's less! There was no animals, not one! Nary a moose! I believe that your ancestors, after they left the East Coast and traveled west, killed everything in sight in order to be able to put on enough fur to make it to the West Coast. In Winnipeg this year, I was told that for 5 months, the temperature averaged between 30 and 50 below. 5 months straight. At what point don't you get it? I was told that they had to cover every piece of skin in that kind of weather, or it would freeze. It's not Jack Frost nipping at your toes, you idiot. It's God saying, "Get out of here!" Even vampires can get out 12 hours a day.
They build them stronger in Canada.
I was about 40 days on the road, and in that time, I saw the sun for 36 hours. Every day it was gray, rainy, gray, gray, shit, gray, rain, gray, shit, gray, rain, shit, gray. At what point don't you people look up in the sky and think, hey, maybe I should slip my wrist to see some color?
Whoa, Jesus. Yeah, I mean, that last little bit about the weather, the grey, that just brings back nightmares of Scotland to me, man. Obviously, you probably know I live in Malaysia now, where it's 32 degrees and sunny every day. Perfect weather for somebody so white like me, so pasty. But when you compare it to Scotland, when I step off the plane, when I go back to Scotland, it's like a grey filter has been put over the whole place. It's just so depressing. So I can definitely relate to that last one. But tell me what you think about them. Some great comedians in there like Norm and Bill Burr and things like that. Jim Carrey, of course. So it was really cool to see a mixture of Americans and Canadians talking about Canada. Some very funny stuff. Tell me what you think about them. Keep recommending other Canadian comedians or comedy, and I'll be checking them out soon. Thank you.